Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, or uh, maybe it's the middle of the night where you are. Uh, Welcome to another episode of Hamirpur Tales. And we are so fortunate today to have with us Arsenio Rodriguez. And Arsenio has, like many of us, been with Baba well over 50 years. And in 1975, when after Pukar left the Athens, Maine, left the Maine Japa Mela on August 11th, he wound his way down to Florida. And up to that time, his sidekick from Kanpur, the famous Barfiwala, Sitaram, was with him. However, when he arrived in San Juan, he was alone, as Sitaram had seen enough of America and went back to Kanpur. So without any further ado, Arsenio, what was it like? You met Pukar at the airport, is that correct? Right there in San Juan? Yeah.
Correct. It is. I met him in the airport, and to tell you the truth, because I don't know the details, how I engaged him to come and invited him to come. Well, by that time, 1975, we had a relatively thriving group in Babalovers in Puerto Rico. Must have been, I don't know, 25 to 30 people already. Some of them had been to India. Several had been to the center. But so we used to meet. We had a bookstore, Baba bookstore, and I was in contact with Bill Stevens. Bill Stevens had also been in Puerto Rico, and I think it was, now using my memory, whatever is left of it, I think it was through Bill Stevens that I found out that Pukar was visiting, touring United States. And I chatted it all over with the rest of the people in the group, and we decided to invite him. Now, I've never met Pukar. I've never been to Hamirpur. None of the people in Puerto Rico have been to Hamirpur. But it so happened that he came. Now, we were told as we invited him that he was going to be flying alone, that he had been accompanied in the States by, I forgot the name, but he had been accompanied in the States by somebody else. I personally had been already to India in 1974 for the first time. And my idea of the people that were with Baba, and remember, I came to Baba when I was 27 years old. And my mind, I was kind of a square guy. I was not very hippie-ish or anything like that. But so when I went to India for the first time, first person I met of the Baba's people was Adi K. Irani. He was a very serious guy. So whenever I saw these people in the films that were shown coming to the West, they were all dressed with suits and ties accompanying Baba. Eruj, Adi, Bauji, all of them were very well dressed, like if they were going to a ceremony at the United Nations. So when they told me that Pukar was going to come to Puerto Rico, I was staying in at that time, the airports were like you could actually go to the gate to wait for the people. So I was there with my wife. So Conchi at that time was my wife. She passed away 10 or 12 years ago. So, but I remember that I said to her, she said to me, are we going to recognize him? We didn't have a photograph of him. And I said, well, he's going to be Indian and he's going to be wearing a suit. But when I saw, I mean, people were coming out of the airplane through the gate, and then I see this man. He was the size of a refrigerator, and dressed in a classic Indian garb, dark like South Indian people. It was the only people that I could think where I said, but he's not dressed in any kind of suit. But that was him. That was Pukar. His eyes were looking somewhere else. He was like lost some world of his own. And so we welcomed him. He had a very little bag with him. We took him, we had one of those Volkswagen buses at that time. And he came, and I said to him, I didn't know what to do. So I said to him, welcome to Puerto Rico, you know, this is the Caribbean. What would you like to do? What do you like to see? We are in an island surrounded by ocean. And he said to me, I still remember, he said to me, I only want to meet the lovers of God. This is the only thing that I want to. All the time he was sort of muttering, murmuring, chanting. I don't know exactly how to, but his lips were moving all the time, and he was like rhyming things. For I thought there was some musical sound that he was making all the time, and he was there. He was not looking to the sides. That I noticed also. He was just with us. So he was a very strange personality. Let me tell you, I also received aloba in Mexico, and he stayed in my home for a week. But aloba, but at that time I knew aloba, but Pukar was, I don't know if it's the right word to use these days. He was much more out of the context than aloba. Maybe because I had known aloba for a long time before he came to stay with me. But Pukar, he blew my mind. And he was very deep. So I don't know. I have many other stories to tell you, but I just wanted to let you know how was my introduction to Pukar. It was like somebody from Earth meeting somebody from planet Venus. But the only thing common we had was Beherba. And I felt that in him immediately. I did.
Can I offer a comment about Pukar's being not really adapted to being around Westerners, because where he lived, hardly any Westerners ever were there. That's in Hamirpur. When the group of pilgrims went there, when I went in 73, it was one of the first times. I mean, there were people that went in 72, and that was about it. They were like, the people of the town were just they were looking at us like we were in a zoo or something. They just couldn't, they didn't believe that they were seeing somebody dressed the way we were. I don't know, think that we were dressed more Indian than we were Western at that time. But uh, yeah, he wasn't as familiar as Oliva, who had already had quite a few years of pilgrims to meet at Marazad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron.
Yeah.
So he stayed with us for a week, as I said. I tell you stories that come to my mind, which I found interesting. We were living in a neighborhood, nobody around. Was a Babylon or anything like that. Just ordinary neighborhood. But there was a lady 2 houses near our house, home, that she saw this man walking in. And with us. But if you see somebody like Pukar walking in, you know that Pukar is walking in. I mean, Pukar was not somebody that you would miss. So he just walked in my house. And I don't know what happened, but about, I think the next day, I cannot properly remember the exact time frames, but I think the next day, that woman came from her, she was, I think, across the street. She was not the immediate neighbor, but she walked in, and Puka was in our front yard, and she came and she bowed down to him, and he bowed down to her immediately. And I asked her in Spanish because the lady didn't even speak English. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said to me with a certain degree of animosity, "How come it is that you have a saint in your house and you don't let us know? We are entitled to know when people like him come in." And I blew my mind. And he was very obfuscated with that. He didn't like that thing, but he bowed down to her. But I remember that scene in my front yard. So it was a small front yard. She bowing to him and he bowing to her. I remember that. That much I remember. And then we had a meeting. My neighbor, by the way, this is another important. At that time, is somebody that you know, Alan. And his name is Pedro Miranda. Pedro Miranda is a very intelligent fellow because he was not one of the people that was attracted to Meher Baba when we opened the bookstore or anything like that. He was, I met him in my work. He just like came from Harvard. He was an architect. He was very much into his job. And was totally like I was before my Miami experience. That's another side. And so he was a very intellectual atheist or agnostic person. And I didn't talk to, he was a friend, he was my immediate neighbor, but I didn't talk to him much about that because he was against the whole thing. So I never proselytized or anything. But because Pukar was such an impressive guy, he asked me, "Who's this guy?" And I told him, "This is Pukar, this one." And I told him this story that Pukar was a member of the Communist Party and whatever in India, for independence of India, and he had been the whole story of Pukar of how he started to find out Baba and that he set out to beat up Meher Baba. And for reasons that I do not understand, I just don't understand. This was not even a meeting that we had. It was just one of those peaceful nights at my home with my family, and Pukar was there. But Pedro, he decided to come. He asked me, "Can I come and visit and meet Pukar?" And I said, "Sure." And he said, "I want to sing him a song." I had told him the story. So he said, "I want to sing him a song." I said, "Sure, I mean." So he came and we had a little room that was sort of dedicated. I got Baba Sadra there and Baba's picture, and that's where we met in small groups when people met in my house. And so he came and Pukar was sitting in the sofa, and Pedro sit beside him with his guitar, and he started playing to him Rocky Raccoon. I tell you, I don't know what this is, a weird thing. Rocky Raccoon, which is, I mean, he was singing it to Pukar. Now, Pukar is very strange because Pukar, his head was like that, his eyes were closed, and he was making a noise through his mouth as if he actually was snoring. So I thought this guy fell asleep. But with his right foot, he was keeping the rhythm of the song. And his hand was caressing Pedro's hair. At that time, he had long hair. It was like kind of hippish. He had the long hair, and he was caressing his hair like that. And that's all it was. I mean, there was no big conversation. That's all that happened. And he said goodbye. I mean, no, there was no Jai Baba. It was not a Baba lover. Looked at him, he left. So just imagine, I was trying to figure out what happened here. But I don't know if Pedro Alan, when you met him here, told you the story that I think it was the first or the second time that Pedro finally, that's another story, how he finally took Baba, or Baba took him. And he ended up in India. And he went to India.
We've frozen temporarily here. I can't hear you, Betty.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Prakash and Sally. I don't know if Arsenio can hear us, but Arsenio, you might have to go out and come in again.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Well, we got more hosts here. That's good. Oh, the hosts keep coming on.
Okay, so I hope he comes right back. He's just got to the point where he invited the Pukar to stay with him for a week in Puerto Rico. And he was just talking about how he was introducing Pukar to Pedro
Miranda.
It's-
And Pedro, in probably in 73, maybe in 72, at the Meher Spiritual Center. And it was Pedro who told me about Arsenio's hosting Pukar for a week there in Puerto Rico. And Pedro told me that that's when he first met Pukar. So we're waiting for Arsenio to log back in here.
Arsenio doesn't remember the circumstances, how he came to invite Pukar to his home in Puerto Rico. He was
Well, a memory did come up for him. He suggested that it was perhaps Bill Stevens, who was, Ron can better confirm this, but Bill and Peggy Stevens were holding meetings. I believe it was that in Coral Gables, or was that in, where was that actually, Ron? Are you frozen too?
he's not.
I'm mute. Okay. No, I think that Bill and Peggy had already left and gone to Nashville at that time by when Pukar came.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I think they left in 74, 75. He might have just missed Pukar. But
Well,
he might have known about it, and he might have been in touch with Arsenio.
Arsenio just texted me and he's trying to log back in. So
My memory, we had Pukar out in California in Menlo Park. There wasn't a word spoken of English. He didn't speak English. We didn't. I'm sure that it was at Huey and Jeannie McDonald's house. I'm sure they sang to him, but there wasn't, that was not possible to communicate it. He certainly
well,
was. a big,
my dear. Do you remember the first time you heard Bao Churi speak? Remember your recollection of that? You could say he doesn't speak English either. It's Pukar happened to be very fluent, very eloquent in his speaking and in his writing. However, if you'd never heard him before, and when we go up to Marie's tomorrow, one of her stories is how no one could understand Pukar at a public gathering, and how there were 100 people there at one point, and by the end there were only 12, and those were the Baba lovers. But so yes, he was very, very difficult to understand if you'd never listened to him, never heard him before. But truth be known, he spoke and had a magnificent command of the English language.
of the English language.
Yep.
Oh,
Yes, yes,
He
that's what I'm
definitely-
saying.
He spoke to
And
us.
one
And
can attest to that.
I
Well,
definitely remember that he spoke English.
I'm not remembering that. Oh, thanks for clarifying that. I'm not remembering that part. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Hi, Tina. Welcome. We're waiting for our
welcome to-
come back. And he got frozen. Nice to see you, Tina. Oh, so he spoke English. Wow. Oh boy, that's a whole different, wow, perception of him. I remember him just being certainly a very large presence, but yeah. Huh. Gee, maybe Arsenio was having some trouble.
well, he said he was trying to.
Where is he calling from?
Little Beach.
He
No.
is in the beach.
He was on here. He just got frozen and so logged out.
Yeah, he was on with us for
My
close to
phone.
a half an hour.
Ah, there he is.
Welcome back, Arsenio. We see you. You may have to. There's a mute button. You may have to unmute yourself, or is there a way I can do that?
He
Or
should-
you can do that, Betty.
Oh, he can do it himself. Yeah. I'll
Well,
be, here he is.
You hear
Yeah.
me now?
Yeah.
Yay!
Okay.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. It's one of those things that is beyond my understanding. of the
Yours is-
meeting. Now I cannot see you. One second. It's just that. Okay. Are you back there?
We see you,
Are you seeing us
and
now?
we hear you.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where is it that I have to click so that I can. It says launch meeting, but I already. Oh. I don't know.
You're in.
You are here. Yeah.
Okay.
We see you and we hear you.
Okay. I actually see other people.
Oh, good.
Wonderful.
I don't know. I was lost. I don't know. The computer all of a sudden turned blue and said that I was disconnected. It's not my fault, I promise you.
Oh, we totally do not blame you.
And I don't even know what I was telling you about.
Yes,
Now,
Pedro
yeah.
is singing a song.
Yeah, he was going inside the tomb that first time in India, or second time. And as he was going in to Baba's tomb, Pukar was coming out. First time that he sees Pukar after that night that he sang to him Rocky Raccoon. And as he comes out, now Pedro is a Baba lover. As he comes out from the tomb, in the bulk of personality that Pukar was, he says to Pedro, "Welcome home." And he embraced him. And that's not the end of the story. Pukar died 3 days after that,
Oh my goodness.
or something like that. He died. After that, he never saw Pukar again because he died in that week or whatever. He went back to, I don't know where he died. But I know that he told me that. He was told that he had died. So I don't know what the Rocky Raccoon song meant, But between those two beings, there was a significant transfer of something. The caressing of his hair, the Rocky Raccoon song, something was going on there. And he transformed this guy, intellectual snob, guy from Harvard just recently, very bright fellow, into a guy that has been now to India probably, I don't know, 15 or 20 times.
Yeah.
So,
So to recap for the new folks who have come in, I wonder if you could just tell briefly how your neighbor Pedro came to see Pukar. Is that right?
yeah, he just, my neighbor was not in Tubaba, but he was curious. That he was not the only neighbor. There was another neighbor who was curious, but she didn't know me. But my neighbor, Pedro, who was working with me in government, he was totally against whatever it is that I thought that Baba was, and of course, also so. But when he saw Pukar coming outside the house, he was curious, because Pukar did raise curiosity. It was not a setting. There were not many Pukars walking in San Juan, you know. There were not many Pukars walking anywhere that I know, but I mean, Pukar was an impressive person. So when he saw him walking in, he said, "Who's that guy?" And I told him the story about Pukar chasing Meher Baba to beat him up, and on the whole story of Pukar. And then Pedro said, "Can I meet that guy?" And I said, "Sure." You know, so I invited him that night. There was nothing. I invited him to come to the house. He still plays the guitar. So he came with his guitar, which I didn't know. And he came with his guitar, and he came to sing Pukar a song, Rocky Raccoon, that song from the Beatles, the guy that was going to kill somebody. I don't know what this song was all about. And he sang the song, and Pukar was probably, I don't know if sleeping or his eyes were closed, he was snoring, his head was like that, his feet was keeping the rhythm, and his hand was caressing Pedro's hair. It was the most unlikely thing that you could imagine. There is this guy, sophisticated, Harvard, intellectual, agnostic, singing Rocky Raccoon of the Beatles to Pukar, who is from Hamirpur, who is dressed in his Indian garb. And then he ends the song and he leaves.
Oh,
And that's it. And he never sees Pukar again until in India, Pukar comes out of Baba's tomb and says to him,
Wow.
"Welcome home."
That's really something.
I found that was something that you have to tell because I've never heard anything like that.
That's some kind of a karmic thing, you know,
It was.
to, you know, it's something like this is a little off the subject, but you reminded me one of the main people that probably the person I would call my Baba link, the link to Baba from Miami was Hermes.
Yeah.
And I hung out with Hermes for a lot of time while he still lived in Miami, which was right around the corner from me. And I didn't see him that often after that for many, many years. But one time I went to the center, I just decided I would walk over to the Dilruba house. And as I was walking out, Hermes was walking in. And I hadn't seen him in a long time. I didn't even know if he would remember me. It was that long that it had been. And he greeted me and he told me he was coming to see somebody that he knew or whatever. And I just left. And I think Hermes died a week later. But I feel that Baba wanted me to have that connection, you know, just that very brief thing. Just like he reminded me with these two fellows walking, you know, one walking out, one walking in, that Baba does those kinds of things. They're meaningful, but we don't really understand them. I don't think we can understand what it is.
No, and there are some stories. I told you already the story of the other neighbor that just came and bowed down to Pukar. and was angry with us because we had not told her that there was a saint. You're keeping a saint in your house and you don't tell us. And we knew that. But besides that, there was a fellow who some of you might know, some of you might not know. He was one of the first people that came to the Baba bookstore that we have in Puerto Rico. One day I was sitting there and he walked in, strange guy, actually strange. And he walked in and he sits on the floor. And he looks at me and he gives me a card, the Don't Worry Be Happy card. And he said, I have come to find out more. And he said, the first time I saw this man, I was a kid and I was living in Madrid. And I saw this on a Paramount reel. The name, I heard the name, face of this guy. And he said it was something like 1962 or like that. Right. His name, the name of this guy was Norberto. Maybe some of you have heard of him or know him. He's also the only person that I have known that have committed suicide in the center, in their center. Norberto was a very strange person. And he had been to India. Actually, of all the people in Puerto Rico, he was the first one to go to India. And he stayed there for 6 weeks in 1973. When and there are two stories that this have not to do with Pukar, but I tell you so that you know what kind of a situation this was. When Norberto went to India in 1973, before going to India, he stayed here at the center for a long time. I remember the first time I went to India, and as I told you before, the first person I met was Adi Keirani. And Adi remembered that somebody else from Puerto Rico, Norbert. And he said, Elizabeth sent me a telegram saying Norberto is going, because he went from the center direct to India. He's going to India. It's a very special guy. Now, Elizabeth was using the phrase very special guy, like a handle with care person. But Adi, he told me, he thought that this was a special guy in the way that on the 30s, you know, somebody special guy. So Adi went personally to pick up Norberto at the Bombay airport. And Norberto was Norberto. And if you ever met Norberto, I don't know if one of you met him, but Norberto was a special guy in the way that Elizabeth meant. So Norberto stayed in India for 6 months. And when he came back, now he was very active in the Baba group. And when Pukar went, what Norberto did, which I don't know what happened, he would come in his Jeep and pick up Pukar in the mornings. For 2 days in a row he did that. And he took him to the University of Puerto Rico. And the two of them alone, which I thought, I don't know what this means. I don't know what that means, but something happened there. So I asked Norberto, what happened there? Well, we went under the trees. There's a huge campus there, and he would meet with students and we talked to them. Now, you're talking about somebody like Norberto who was strange, and somebody like Pukar who was very strange. Both of them in this setting, I cannot imagine what it was. So that part of the story I cannot tell you, unfortunately, and there's no one to tell it because both Norberto and Pukar are gone. But I know that something strange happened there, and that it was like that. The third story that I must tell you is that we then organized a meeting, because there were many people interested, there was a karate dojo that belonged to some of the Baba lovers in Puerto Rico who also were karate kids. And so they had this big dojo. And I think probably almost 100 people went to that meeting. All sorts of people. They invited the students. And Pukar told his story there. I was the interpreter into Spanish. And God was helping me with Pukar's English, because Pukar's English was not very easy, particularly when he was trying to explain all those things that were so close to him. And so we both laughed a lot as he was telling the stories, and I kept on interrupting him to explain more. But there he told a story about when he first heard of Baba's name by the man who was in silent in his print shop. When he set out to chasing Baba and he couldn't find him anywhere until the day that he found him and he's in line and he just puts all his clothes on top of, and he jumps on top of the clothes and is naked and offers himself to Baba. And I cannot describe to you, this is what I said, these are just words, but this is a very strange thing. It is not something, I mean, I don't know, the ambience, the setting, the vibrations there were incredible. And then he would stop and sing in Hindi some of these poems that he was all the time muttering. And then he would translate them into English, and I would translate them into Spanish. The whole meeting must have lasted probably an hour and a half. And everybody was absolutely, I think that the right word is confused. Confused. Because it's like in a I don't know, maybe a spiritual sense, they were all like, they were not there. It was a totally strange experience. Pukar was such a simple person staying at home. He had a little briefcase, whatever, and bag, I don't know, he brought a very small bag. He would wash his clothes in my bathtub every night. We had about two or three, I don't know, it's called dotis. Are those dotis? Those little white things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he would wash them every night. Like that. My wife was fascinated. And I cannot tell you because I had some moments with him, some one-to-one personal moments with him, talking to him about things like wives, like his wife, my wife. And it was fascinating. And I never forget that man. He was like, when he left, I certainly don't know what happened. It was like I think that he brought so much energy of some sort to Puerto Rico. You know, the whole thing exploded, including my marriage. By that time, I also got divorced after that. After I don't know what happened, but many things changed. Many things changed, and I don't know what it was. But I think that Pukar has been he was like and say it, never stop reciting these poems. I took him home to my mother. Or yes, my mother met. Yes, 1975, and he met my sister who just had she had gone through some suffering in her family. She had lost some twins. Her daughter was born with Down syndrome, and then she had developed leukemia. So it was a thing, and he sat down And she had now in hands this new baby, was probably about 1 or 2 years, and very beautiful. He had beautiful eyes, really beautiful eyes. And he took him in his arms, and he started singing to him, singing to him, and singing to him. Now, this guy, who's my nephew, I will never forget that. 1 year after that, 1 year and a half after that, he was diagnosed with retinoblastoma, which is a cancer of the eye, which is very aggressive. So they had to take one eye out of him with hope that it will not spread to the rest of his body. But he's an amazing guy. He grew up. He's probably he's now an international economist or whatever. But went to Berkeley, very bright fellow. But I never forget the tenderness with which Pukar sang to him that song, and that he translated a few words. One of them I remember was Chona, Chona, which means baby. I think he said little boy or baby, and he would do that type of thing. Alan, you have exercised my memory to the almost. I can only tell you these words. I cannot tell you what he did to me, because I myself don't know. But must have done something to me also. You never know. I read the other day, or maybe after you told me that you were going to have this meeting, I was reading Baba sent him to do his work in India, meet people, and said, "You're doing my work, you under my work." So this Pukar is a very special person. Never, all of these people were special, but he was very special. And I don't know. He also told the story, by the way, of when he saw Ram in his village, Hamirpur. But when he was telling those stories, he was vibrating as he was telling those stories. Remember, he said that he started to vibrate when he saw.
Do you remember any of the details of
No.
that particular story?
No, but remember that of course at that time he was basically trying to communicate to us. And probably the reason why I don't remember is that I was so much concentrated in trying to translate this into Spanish that but I was not capturing I was looking into the words and not into the whole context. And I never saw Pukar again in my life. This is somebody that I saw passing by, stayed with me 1 week. We became very almost close, as having breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day, and conversations, very private conversations, which I'm not revealing because some of them had to do with other people. But I think that this is thank you. My thanks for the opportunity to remember these things.
Well, we're so delighted that you could join us today, and so grateful for the memories and stories that you have shared. Pukar passed in May of 1980, and you had mentioned that Pukar was kind of under his breath, was always chanting or singing.
Right.
When I was with Pukar, one of his personal chants I will share now. It's very brief, and perhaps you'll recall whether or not you heard him sing that when he was with you in Puerto Rico. Goes like this. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba, something like that. That ring a bell?
No, totally. That's what I thought he was also saying. He was just saying Baba's name. But he did
Yeah.
that in mine when he was also, there were some other words that I can't remember, but he was saying Baba all the time. That's for sure.
Well, we've only got a few minutes left now. Again, thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Arsenio before we wrap things up today?
No, just want to ask this Prakash Jai Baba Arsenio. I thought I saw you. Did I see you in Mehrabad in 2023?
No, you know,
No.
the last time I was in India was in 2015.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe it's Pedro. I don't know who I saw.
Pedro you might have seen. He's still going
Yeah,
on.
because he was the one who went to Meher Taylor's, had something stitched there, and we used to chat with him and all. Okay. Jai Baba.
Oh, Arsenio, this has been, I'm just wishing that we had another hour. I think I wonder if you might come up with some more stories if you came back. It's been wonderful hearing your memories of Pukar. If you
Thanks for giving me this opportunity. You know, it's not something that happens every night, definitely. And it brings back those times that were magic, really magic.
you have recreated them for us. It's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And as I said, you know, because I don't know why, I tell you, all of us stayed in my house in Mexico. Katie, Rani, uh, Bauji, uh, but Pukar, I mean, they were absolutely special, but they were absolutely, like somebody said before, accustomed to the Western ways. Whereas Pukar was like someone that was, I mean, seeing him in there was big contrast. That's why my neighbors came out and bowed out to him. They realized he had to be a saint. He was not dressed. I mean, even Alova when he went to Mexico, and of course Bauji or Katie, they were just people. You do not lose them. I mean, this woman, she saw him from 2 houses across my house, and she said, he must be some saint or something because of the way he walked, the way he was dressed, and his vibes. His vibes.
He may very well have been on the plains. Keep in mind, Baba said to him, "You are my Hanuman." And when I went back to Hamirpur in 2019, my host was Pukar's son, Meher Nath, and I asked him point blank, is it your understanding that your father was like Hanuman, or was your father Hanuman? And he said the latter, that Pukar was a reincarnation of Hanuman. And we see how Pukar would make himself into a chair, either at Meherazad or Guru Prasad, and that Baba would sit on his back. We have so much video films of that. So, Ron, was with Pukar on a little tour in 73, Richard Leviton in 72, and I have sourced someone who was there with Pukar in 71. And so we have another interview to look forward to with Dr. Gil Alvarado. And the timing of that is not yet fully established, but something to look forward to for sure. So we're getting very close. We've got about 2 minutes left. We do like to end as we end the morning and evening artis with 3 Avatar Meher Baba Ki Jays. Any last word from anyone here?
I have a word.
Thank
I just wanted to say I was looking up a picture that I know I had at one point, but I couldn't find it with all my pictures of my trip to India in 73. But I had a picture of Norberto on Vilu's porch teaching Dara to play some Cat Stevens songs that he would sing to us quite often while I was there. You remember that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he used to sing How Can I Tell You?
Yeah.
And when he sang that song, Mansari would come running because he loved that song, the way he sang that song.
Oh yeah, he was very good, very talented.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much, Arsenio.
Thank you, Arsenio. Thank you for bringing your precious memories and sharing them with us. Jai Baba.
Thank you. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.
We are so grateful. Okay, everybody, let's do it. Avatar, everybody,
Baba Ki Jai.
hold on, everybody on mute.
Avatar.
Okay, Avatar, Meher Baba Ki
Jai.
Jai.
Baba
Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Avatar, Meher Baba
Avatar,
Ki Jai.
Meher Baba Ki Jai.
Jai.
Thank you, Baba.
Thanks for hosting, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Betty.
You, Arsenio. Oh, if you come up with more memories, come back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Betty and AR, for arranging this. It was wonderful. Thank you.
What did we miss?
A very sweet interview.
Well, you know, Angela will have it up probably by the morning, so maybe even sooner.
It's all about Pukar, this amazing character from India, and the various people who met him. And Arsenio is just a gem. Golly, he's wonderful. So who's host? Is it Sally or Prakash?
Yeah.
Sally.
We want both of you. You're
Yeah.
greedy.
That's wonderful, Alan. Nice job.
And Gil,
And thanks, Betty. Yeah.
Gil should be good too. Gil Alvarado's memories is interesting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's time, I guess. Yeah.
A little past, but we're well.
No,
Betty, can you make me host, please?
Oh, sorry. Sure. Yeah.
you did shut off the recording, Betty.
Oh, I know it's still on. Okay, let me, oh dear. Let me stop here. Recording, stop recording. Okay.